Welcome to another chapter of Stelmo's Rants and Raves. I'm Stelmo. Let's join in. You know, I'm watching 2C TV, and 2C TV is certainly, if you want to stay up to date and get the most accurate information on what's happening with the people of Iran, 2C TV is the place to go. My art 2C is Iranian. He left Iran, I think he was 14 years old, with his mother. His father still lives in Tehran. He communicates with his father, and he also has many other relatives that live there. And so, right from the very beginning, that has been the place to get the news. And you learned far more than you get from the mainstream media, which, I was looking today. I think he's at 1.6 or 1.8 million subscribers, and it's well deserved for him because, like I say, he does a good job. And today he's showing us the protests that are going on from the young people all across the Iran. They're tired of living under this repressive regime. I know several times we hear the president and or people in his administration say that they're going to be getting weapons to the people of Iran. But so far, that hasn't happened. I don't get that aspect. I really do not get it. These people are crying for their freedom. Mr. President, several months ago, you implored these people to take to the streets and take back their country. You told them that the United States had their back and that if they start killing people, that the United States would act. Now, okay, eventually after they kill 40 or 50,000, and I think that's a very low number because most of their killing, they do it at night and they burn the bodies or bury them in mass graves where nobody's going to find them for a long time, if ever. And so, yes, the United States went in, they did a lot of bombing, they did a lot of disruption, but they haven't done away with this regime. And we're in this crazy ceasefire now. That's not a ceasefire. And the whole world, I believe, is laughing at President Trump. He may not like people saying that. Here in America, fortunately, we still have that right. I don't know how much longer, but for now we have it. And I just think that this is, the American people are going to be the ones who are really going to suffer once this inflation takes hold, and we haven't seen the inflation yet. Trust me, the rises that have happened in inflation are nothing compared to what's coming, because those are more or less the immediate increases in such things as gas and such. But it takes many months for all of that to filter down, for all of the delivery companies and stuff to raise their prices and everything, and it all gets filtered down to the consumer. And there's already enough other problems outside of Iran that are causing inflation. And of course, anybody, I think, that does any amount of shopping realizes that the government's numbers that they put out on inflation are just a tiny, real fraction of what they actually are. And of course, the government can't admit what they are because if the government is honest, then the COLA payments would just be that much higher and the deficit would grow that much more. So we're in a terrible place right now, and I do not understand why many of our Gulf allies, such as Kuwait, seems to me, I remember George Bush going in there and giving them back their country. And now they're being attacked almost daily. And I don't get it. I really, really fail to understand it. The president negotiates an alleged peace deal with Lebanon, Israel, and the United States, and they leave Hezbollah out. In the meantime, Israel keeps getting rockets fired on them. Fortunately, the Iron Dome and other defense systems are able to take out most of this. The fatalities, fortunately, have been very low. But no country should have to take this kind of constant attack. But yet, there's something about in the Middle East where we got to, Israel gets attacked, and then We got to hold them back. Oh, no, no more. Here, take this peace deal. Well, it's only a one-sided peace deal, Mr. President. I know you want to be the president of peace. Don't worry, you're never getting a Nobel Peace Prize. Never, okay? It's that institution, like so many others, has been radicalized. They would much rather give a posthumous award to Adolf Hitler than to give you a peace prize, okay? That's how it stands. But I don't get this. Every day I'm reading more and more, we're attacking them here. They're attacking all of their Gulf allies. It looks like they were going to be planting more mines in the Strait of Hormuz. It was weeks ago that the president assured us that he was going to open up the Strait of Hormuz, and nothing has happened, nothing. And every day that goes on with the Strait of Hormuz being closed is that much worse that the inflation is ultimately going to be. Even if this thing comes to a peace agreement, let's say in the next 24 or 48 hours, it's still going to take another month or two before the strait has been totally cleared out and they can get the ships back out to sea, delivering their product or picking up their product or whatever it is they do. You got to feel sorry for a lot of these companies. They got these ships that are stuck. They got all the people on the ship. They got to keep paying, but they're not bringing any money in. How long do you think that's going to last? There are so many. I call it the law of unintended consequences. And I don't even think yet that there's anybody out there that really understands what kind of damage that our economy and the other economies around the world are going to suffer because of this incursion. I think it's catastrophic. I think it needs to end. And the best way to end it is to take out this regime. Stop letting them regroup, consolidate what weapons they have left. Take them out, Mr. President. Yeah, I realize it's going to take some ground troops, but I think in this case you can do it selectively. And if you would just get arms to the Iranian people, I can't understand, because I know Mossad and the CIA have a lot of people on the ground in Iran. And I don't understand why they can't find true Iranian patriots to give them weapons so that when they're attacked, right now, it's sad. These young people are willing to give up their lives and die, and many already have, because they say it's better to be dead than living under this repressive regime. America has always been the beacon of light for countries. Except, I don't know, there's something here where we just have to have these Iranian despots in control in Iran, no matter what. They're never going to enter a peace agreement. And if they do, they're not going to follow it. Donald Trump, in my humble opinion, is really destroying his, what he's known for. His legacy is being torn apart, and it's going to get so far worse. I think the Republicans can still win the midterms. But come the next presidential election, I'm not sure what will happen. Because I think that come that time, and yeah, that's still a couple years away, but come that time, we'll still be facing the increased prices that were brought about because of this military incursion. This is just a factual thing. What's happened so far is nothing compared to what's coming. And then they're talking, there are places that are starting to run low on reserves of gas and diesel, jet fuel, the like. Yeah, so what? The economies are already in the tank. I know that. The BLS says that there's more jobs out there than Carter has liver pills. Nobody believes them numbers anymore. I know, Mr. President, you fired the person. You were upset You know, and this to me is problematic because apparently none of Donald Trump's aides told him, hey, Mr. President, you want to be careful with taking praise of these numbers because historically they're not very accurate. I mean, it's not like that's something new. All the Republican pundits knew this when Joe Biden was president. But it looks like, well, they all went mute once Donald Trump took office, and they allowed him to come out and take credit for numbers which they should know are false. And somebody should have gotten to Donald Trump much sooner and said, hey, Mr. President, this is a problem. But now that Donald Trump has found out that the BLS numbers are unreliable, what makes him think that the rate of inflation numbers are reliable? Because I don't think they're reliable. I don't know how many items that I buy that have more than doubled in price since the start of the Biden administration. And a good portion of that raise, the vast majority of it, I think it's safe to say, was from Biden. But the inflation, while perhaps not to the highest degree, is continuing under Donald Trump. I know there for a while they wanted us to believe it was 2.8% or some nonsense like that. But these are skewed numbers. They're false. They're not real. And they reasonably should understand that, which makes me wonder why Donald Trump is taking his sweet old time in Iran. It's costing us more and more. Now, I know that there are pundits out there that say, well, the ships are going to be sailing anyway, and the sailors get paid anyway and everything. But I guarantee you that because of this incursion into Iran, the expenses, even without any munitions being counted into the equation, I think you're still going to find that these numbers are a little bit high, and people are having a hard time making ends meet. So socialism becomes more and more and more reasonable because, hey, there's free stuff. And yet we all know how it goes. They're going to steal people's money and give it to the poor people. So the poor people, which is the vast majority of people in this country, they're going to go for something like that, especially when the economy is where it's at and where it's going. It's time to stop gaslighting about the economy. And I'm cynical. You know, if somebody would have come to me when I was young and told me just about half the stuff that I'm experiencing right now in this world, I'd have thought these people were loco, crazy, needing serious medical intervention. But it's all happening. I can't escape it. It's as real as could be. Who would believe that this country would go to where it's at? But it looks like it's going to get far worse because I really don't see anything being done to make it any better. Yeah, I know the president, he talked about making housing more affordable. Mr. President, the problem is the deficit spending. That is the problem. No matter how much you may try to counter it, the problem is we're spending far too much money that we do not have. It's getting harder and harder to find purchasers of our debts. And I believe that the Treasury is holding a lot more, well, between the Treasury and the Fed, holding a lot more of our debt than they will readily admit. You know, for a long, long time, I don't remember how long, but Senator Rand Paul's father, when he was in the House of Representatives, he always called for an audit of the Fed. You know, I thought with Donald Trump, maybe we could actually get an audit of the Fed, but I guess that's not going to happen. And it's sad because we really don't know the truth. But that doesn't change what happens when people go out and do their shopping and purchase the things that are necessary for their everyday life. Car insurance, home insurance, through the roof. And it's understandable because of inflation, everything has cost them more. So if a house burns down, it's going to cost that much more to rebuild that house. So of course they got to pay more money. But homeowners and even everyone is being hit from all ends. This is going up, that's going up, everything's going up. And unfortunately, the one thing that's not going up is the amount of dollars that these people are bringing in every week or month or however you want to look at it. You know, there was a point in time that I thought that people got too much money in food stamps. We called it food stamps years ago. Now it's EBT. But I now realize that for a lot of these families that got to rely on food stamps, they got a problem. They do have a problem because the prices today are just exorbitant. It's hard. People, what they're having to do is eat more and more inexpensive food in order to stretch their budgets and make ends meet. And with this going to get worse before it gets better, and we're heading into summer, I believe, and I hope I can come on here and say, boy, was I way off base. But I think we're going to have a summer of discontent, and it's paid for. Okay, that's the thing. It's being paid for. We see what's happening in New Jersey. Don't even get me going there, because Donald Trump surrendered in Minnesota, and now, you know, they talk about, oh, we arrested a couple people. But you see, the problem is we get to see the video and we can see all of the people committing all of the crimes that are not charged, okay? So more people are not charged for crimes that they're committing at these things. And as long as that's the ratio, as long as that's the way it's happening, these things are going to continue to happen. And I suggest they're going to get bigger and bigger, because you're going to have more and more people who are wit's wind, and they're going to go with the revolutionary type forces. So, you know, like I say, I hope I can come back sometime and say I'm wrong on these things, but I just don't see how I'm wrong. And I just don't know how bad it exactly it's going to get. But I do know that we haven't started to see the increases in all of the prices that are going to go up because of the gas and diesel. And so far, that's what's raised everyone's inflation numbers thus far, is those increases. But those, they're going to get passed on. Many of those costs are going to get passed on, and people are going to be paying more and more. And it's a sorry state we're in. So, Mr. President, end this war in Iran. Defeat those religious zealots that are never going to abide by a peace agreement, even if they should enter into one. And with that, I wish everybody a great day. Stay safe. It's a crazy world out there, and every day it gets crazier than the last. Bye-bye.